Hey there, welcome back to Fresh Start Budgeting. It is the end of October. The month has flown by and I'm doing a check-in for how I've done with my spending. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to start with the overview and kind of where I've been able to capture where the different spending has happened over the course of the month. So we did set out initially a plan, and then I've identified what the actual out is for both my first and my second income. As a family, we do receive 4 different incomes. 2 of them are from my employment income, and this is what you're seeing here. 2 of them are from my partner's disability income, and this month we were trying to curb our spending and actually put those incomes directly into our 100 envelope savings challenge. So this is why, if you've seen one of the overviews before, this one might look a little bit different, and we are working with less money. In general, just in terms of little highlights here, there was nothing that had to actually go to medical, which is what we were concerned about when we started out the month. So that is good. Our food budget has stayed below, and that also includes the food spending in the want category. So food, in terms of wants, I consider to be anything that's at a restaurant or delivery. So that's what this month looked like here. And as well, my grocery spending was down pretty considerably. We were able to use a lot of stuff that was in our pantry. We'll see if my total ends up being what I anticipated for the month. A little bit higher on the pet side of things. Transportation is not too far off. Household spending, there was extra household spending there. There's some additional personal spending. My partner and I have decided to go to a Halloween party, and so there was some spending there that was not planned, but because we were able to spread out some of the other pieces, it worked out fine. Of course, my debt payment still came out of these 2 payments, so that was good to see. I'm just gonna see if there's anything to really talk about in the actual listing of the spending. I guess one piece to mention is that for some of September and a lot of October, I went back to using my debit card. I don't have a credit card, so I don't have a problem if I run out of money in that case, but you can see where I've spent in categories where I hadn't planned to. And that's because I just used my debit card. I find the debit card makes it really easy to track what the actual spending was, but I would like to be able to move forward to just tracking my spending every day. And so then I'm not going to be as dependent on the debit card. So that's kind of my goal for November, going into November. But just curious how you guys kind of work through that specific piece. That's a little bit of the challenge that I found in using cash, is that it's easy to lose track of exactly how the cash was spent. One thing here is that I have $120 here that I don't have accounted for. So it's not in my debit spending, and I also don't have cash receipt or remembrance of that. So I'm just going to track that $120 under the wants category, because I can't even say what it was, whether it was a need or otherwise. I just want to make sure that we keep track of that specifically. Okay. Outside of that, there wasn't really anything that was out of the ordinary in what I did. There was one day that while I was at work that I did end up going and getting a Subway sandwich. That was not planned, and something that I'm trying not to do is spend while I am during the work week, to try and help curb kind of that food spending, because if you've watched my previous videos, that's where we probably have our greatest challenge in trying to manage those costs. So I'm just going to do that add up of what's happened between what I consider a need and a want and savings, so we can get the breakdown of what's happened here. we did this lifestyle creep challenge, I was reducing how much money we had available to spend. So what happens is when I just went kind of just down to the basics, we spend 59% going towards the needs, 21% going towards the wants, and 19% going towards debts. So if we compare that to what we did before, we had 41%, 39%, and 20% in August. So that is not that far off on that total spending. When I look at July, we were at 31%, 32%, and 28%. Oh, about 30% between the debts and savings together. So it's not that far off, even though we had 2 less incomes. So I guess the interesting part is going to be is what happens when we actually add those incomes into it. So we had income number 3 was 1,200, and that went directly into my 100 envelope challenge. Then we had income number 4. That's $1,200, and that as well is going directly into the 100 envelope challenge. Okay, and then we had a special income. Okay, and that's this one here, which is a little bit different because I did have to give some of that to my mother. I gave some of that to community spending, so I spent some money on Etsy. I sent my giveaway packages and some other things, so that's where that went. And then I put some into my 100 envelope challenge. So let's figure out. And then I had some that went to tax, but I'm not even going to include that in the income because I don't include the tax out of my employment income. That just happens automatically. So I'm not going to include it in this one either. So that was $1,750 altogether. So it was $1,750. $1,200 went to the 100 envelope. Okay, $150 I'm gonna say was a want. It's the money that I spent on Etsy and some other things. And then I'm going to say that the $400 was a need, because that's what I had given to my mother. So I'm not sure how else to categorize that. So if we come up here, I'm just going to add that 400 into what I had, which is now 3,718. The wants, I'm going to add the 150, so that becomes 1,000. I should be able to do this in my head, but you know what? It's late. Let's not test ourselves. It's 1,330. And then debts and savings, we added another 3,600 to this. So 3,600 plus 1,085. So that's a total of $4,685 this month that has gone to debt. So if I take my total income for the entire month, we had 5,600 of the employment income. We had 36, no, don't make this too complicated, 2,400 from those other incomes, and then 1,750 from special income. So we had a total income of 9,750. Okay, and then these are the amounts. So I'm going to see how much of the total income went towards needs. Okay, so that becomes 38%. Now let's try that for the wants. This is where in normal circumstance, this one would be more money would definitely go into here than went into my debts and savings. So we spent $13.30 divided by 97.50. Okay, so that drops it down to 13.6%. And now let's look at the debts and savings. 46.85 divided by the 9,750 is 48%. Okay, so this is just kind of the result of, first of all, having an additional income. That's not going to happen all the time. It's a very rare situation. But it's also the result of really reducing down what our spending was, still covering the needs, what we considered the needs, reducing down our food spending for sure, even in the needs category, but really reducing down that wants category and throwing that into the debts and savings. So I know that if we hadn't provided this $400 to my mom, we probably would have been at the 50% here. We would have been at 46.85 plus 400, 5,085. So that's over 50%. 97.50, 52% is where we could have been. So no regrets. We needed to do that. We needed to give that hand up to my mom. And no regrets kind of on how this all went. We still were able to go to a movie this month. We still did do a couple of orders for dinner. And so I think overall it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. Like, I did think that losing that $2,400 of available income was going to be really tough, but it seems pretty possible. So I don't think 30% going towards debts and savings is going to be a stopper. I think we can do it. I think we can definitely do it, because in that regular income that we had from employment income, I still did the required debt payments. I didn't do as much to my savings because I didn't do this second savings challenge at all, but overall it all kind of worked out. So I'm going to call this a success. I'm not sure how I'm going to approach November, whether I'm going to do it the same in terms of how I split out those savings or split out those incomes, but I guess I'll have to figure that out going into that now. But I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with how this went, and it definitely wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. I know there are people out there that have done as much reducing down of their spending as they possibly can. I think the only thing that I can suggest is kind of looking at those subscriptions, because that's what I did between myself and my daughter, and really looking at the food budget, because I thought this was going to be tight, keeping it under $700. I should actually check what we did. Let's check the food budget, because that's been a big one for me. $292, $284, and then we're going to add in the stuff that we did order, $39 and $62. Okay, so we kept it under $700. We did $677. I think I need to add that into my food check. I didn't do September, but I think this one's worth writing down. So we'll go back to doing that. October, my total food spending was $677. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm definitely looking forward to being able to do a food order, probably a bulk order from Costco or somewhere else. Because we've definitely gone through a lot of what I had available, But if you compare it out to what we did in some of these other months, we've almost dropped it by 2/3, right? So that's pretty crazy. That's just knowing that, you know, that first goal was trying to get it under 1,000. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate everybody who has been following my journey and all the positive feedback and the comments. And you know what, even if you have some areas that you see that I could make some other changes, I'd be happy to hear it. So don't feel like you just have to give positive notes. I'm open to many things, but just want to thank you guys for giving this some time and watching and commenting, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.